I knew something was off the moment I stepped onto the bridge that morning. The hum of the ship was different, like it was holding its breath, waiting for me to notice. My co-pilot, Kix, normally a model of efficiency, was fidgeting with the engine readouts, avoiding my gaze. I narrowed my eyes. "Kix," I said, my voice sharp, "did you recalibrate the plasma conduits last night?" He flinched, a microsecond too late. Yes, Captain. Everything's fine." "Fine. Sure." My gut told me otherwise. I left the bridge and went to the internal sensors, fingers flying over the interface. My heart sank as the readings loaded. Engine room, Deck 7. Wait, something wasn't right. My stomach twisted. I zoomed in. Kix. And the ambassador. I froze. My mind tried to process what I was seeing. His flight suit was down to his waist. His hand on her hip. His words, captured by the internal mic. "Hera is too rigid. Once the mutiny starts, she's space dust." I felt the floor tilt beneath me. I wanted to scream, to rage, to rip him apart myself. But I couldn't. I was trained, I was the captain. I had to be precise. Calm. Ruthless. "Once the mutiny starts," I whispered to myself. "He's planning this. With her." The betrayal didn't just sting. It burned. My chest tightened. Every memory of trust, every late-night shift he covered for me, every laugh and shared stress, it all became poison. I stormed to the engine room, boots clanging on metal. Kix glanced up, startled. The ambassador's eyes went wide. "Hera." Kix started, but his words faltered. I didn't wait for excuses. I grabbed him by the collar. "How long?" I demanded, voice low but lethal. "Wah, Hera, listen. Don't. Just don't." I snapped. "You were my partner. My co-pilot. I choked on my words. "How could you?" Kix smirked, almost mockingly. "It's the future, Hera. You're too rigid. You wouldn't survive the mutiny anyway." Mutiny. My hand tightened around his suit. I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. "Explain." He leaned closer, voice cold. "I've been feeding them intel. The ambassador and I. Once we start, you'll be nothing but debris floating in space." My stomach dropped, ball rising. Every instinct screamed at me to act, to stop him now, but something inside froze. I could see it in his eyes. He wasn't wavering. He was enjoying this. "You," I started, but he interrupted. "Sorry, Captain. It's just the universe doesn't wait." Before I could react further, the alarms blared. The engine room's airlock hissed open. Metal grated. I realized too late what was happening. Kix shoved me into the chamber. "Goodbye, Hera." The last thing I saw was his face, smug, almost affectionate in that twisted way, before the world went black. As I slid into unconsciousness, a single thought burned in my mind. I wouldn't let this go. Not ever. Not him. Not her. The first thing I felt was cold. Not the sharp kind, no. This was deeper. It crawled into my bones like it intended to stay forever. I slammed my fists against the airlock door. "Kix," I shouted. My voice echoed, thin and useless. "Open it. Now." No answer. The alarm screamed louder, red lights spinning around me. The chamber hissed as the pressure dropped. My ears rang violently, like needles being pushed inside my skull. "Don't do this." I gasped, my breath already coming too fast. "You don't win like this." The outer door began to open. Panic slammed into me full force. Not the controlled fear I was trained for. This was raw, animal. I clawed at the inner panel, fingers shaking as I tried to override the lock. "Command code, Captain Hera Vance, override." I shouted. Nothing. I laughed, sharp and broken. "Of course. You locked me out." The ambassador's voice crackled through the comms, calm, detached. "You should have stayed on the bridge, Captain." I turned toward the speaker, fury burning through the fear. "You used diplomatic clearance to stage a mutiny?" I spat. "You're pathetic." She didn't respond. The outer door fully disengaged. The air tore itself out of my lungs. My body slammed backward against the chamber wall. My chest burned like it was collapsing inward. I tried to scream, but nothing came out, only a silent, open-mouthed gasp. Stars exploded in my vision. My hands floated in front of me, fingers already numb, moving slower than my thoughts. I watched them like they didn't belong to me. This is how it ends, I thought. No heroic last stand. No final command. Just betrayal and vacuum. My vision tunneled. The alarms blurred into distant echoes. My heartbeat thudded once, twice, then stumbled. Faces flickered through my mind. Crew members. The bridge. The quiet engineer, who always stood 2 steps behind me during briefings.
Soren.
His eyes when he looked at me, steady, loyal, unreadable. "I'm sorry," I whispered, though no sound came. My thoughts slowed, thick like syrup. Then, darkness. I woke up choking. Air slammed back into my lungs so violently I rolled onto my side, gasping, clawing at the floor. My body convulsed, as if it were remembering how to breathe. I coughed, hard, tasting metal. The floor was solid.
Warm.
The hum of the ship wrapped around me like a familiar pulse. I opened my eyes. The bridge. I froze. The command chair was right in front of me. The main viewport showed the same star cluster we'd been tracking for days. The same faint crack on the left display panel. Everything intact. "No," I whispered. "No, that's not possible." I pushed myself up, legs shaking. My hands were whole. No frostbite. No injuries. My uniform was clean. Untorn.
Alive.
I staggered toward the central console and checked the ship's clock. 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 14 seconds until scheduled mutiny. My blood ran cold. An hour. An hour before Kix betrayed me. An hour before the airlock. An hour before my death. "This isn't a dream," I said out loud, my voice steady now, too steady. "This is a reset." The ship chimed softly, as if agreeing. I straightened slowly, heart pounding, not with fear this time, but clarity. "They killed me once," I said quietly. "They don't get a second chance." I took my seat in the captain's chair.
And smiled.
I didn't hesitate. The first thing I did was run to the engine room monitors. Every door, every sensor, every camera. I needed the exact layout of Kix and the ambassador's movements. "Time to move," I muttered, fingers flying over the interface. I found Kix's location. Engine room, corner section. Ambassador standing next to him, still confident, still smug. I gritted my teeth. 1 hour. That's all I had. 1 hour to reverse this mutiny and make them pay. I opened a private comm to Soren. "Lockdown protocols ready?" His voice was low but steady. "All set, Captain. Just waiting for your signal."
Good.
That meant he trusted me. He'd always been loyal, quiet, dependable. I'd need him. I dashed to the supply bay, grabbed a portable oxygen vent device. It wasn't lethal if used carefully, just enough to knock them out. I clipped it to my belt and ran back toward the engine corridor. Kix's laugh echoed through the comms as he updated the ambassador. "Once Hera's gone, this ship is ours." Simple as that. I pressed myself flat against the wall listening. Heart hammering, adrenaline sharp. Then I moved. 1 step after the other, silent but fast. Sensors confirmed. They hadn't seen me on the feed.
Good.
They wouldn't.
Not yet.
I reached the air vent access. A quick check. The air circulation would carry my little surprise right where they were standing.
Perfect.
"Time for your nap," I whispered, pulling the trigger on the vent. The hiss of oxygen flooded the room. Kix staggered. Ambassador gasped. Their feet buckled. I didn't wait. I jumped into the engine room, boots slamming. "Kix, Ambassador." I barked. They tried to recover. Kix lunged at me, rage in his eyes. I sidestepped, grabbing the emergency restraint straps from the wall. With one motion, I had Kix pinned, the ambassador following suit. They struggled, but were weak from the vented oxygen. "You really thought you could kill me twice?" I said, tightening the straps.
Kix spat.
"This isn't over, Hera." I ignored him. I checked the sensors. No crew in the immediate corridor.
Perfect.
Alone. I hauled them both into the holding cells on Deck 3. The chamber locked automatically. I confirmed manually, secure. One problem solved. One step closer. Next, I called Soren. Chief Engineer, you're promoted. I need someone I can trust to take over while I clean this mess. Captain. His voice trembled, quiet, more emotion than usual. I mean it, Soren. You're loyal. I need loyalty right now. I stayed on this bucket of bolts only because I couldn't bear to leave your side, he admitted, barely above a whisper. I allowed myself a small smirk. Then you'll like this part. I checked Kix and the ambassador again. Alive, conscious, but powerless. Humiliation is delicious when it's the truth staring them in the face. I mapped the mutiny timeline, adjusted the controls. Delays, reroutes, failsafes. They had no chance to recover. Every second I spent was another nail in their plan. I called the bridge. Soren, take the helm. Lock down all non-essential areas. Activate surveillance on every corridor. No one moves without my permission. Understood, Captain, he said. Relief and determination in his tone. I leaned back in my chair, calm now, the storm inside replaced with focus. 1 hour before mutiny. 1 hour to turn betrayal into revenge. And I wasn't wasting a single second. I stood on the bridge and cut the lights. Emergency mode, I said. The ship dimmed instantly. Consoles shifted to red. Doors sealed across all decks. Soren looked at me from the engineer station. All systems under your command, Captain. Good, I said. Start with deck access logs. Anyone moving without clearance gets locked in. I open the internal comms. All crew, this is Captain Hera. There will be no drills, no exercises, no exceptions. Stay where you are. A pause. Then murmurs across channels. I ignored them. I pulled up the mutiny node. Encrypted messages routed through the ambassador's diplomatic channel. I rerouted them. Every conspirator now reported to me, without knowing it. Captain, Soren said quietly. Engine pressure spike on Deck 7.
Fake alarm, I said.
Let them gather. Minutes later, heat signatures bloomed on the map. 5. Then 7. Then 10. I smiled. Seal Deck 7. I ordered. Metal slammed shut. The crew froze mid-step. Panic spiked immediately. What's happening? Someone shouted over comms. I opened the channel. Congratulations. You've been identified. Voices overlapped. Excuses.
Threats.
I cut them off. Lieutenant Kix sold you a fantasy. He told you I'd be gone by now. Silence. I brought up the holding cell feed on the main screen. Kix sat restrained, jaw tight. The ambassador stood behind the barrier, arms crossed, eyes burning. Kix looked up when he saw himself on display. Hera. Quiet, I said. I turned back to the conspirators. Your leader tried to kill me.
Failed.
Badly. Someone laughed nervously. This is a bluff. I tapped the console. The airlock footage played, Kix shoving me inside. The explosion of vacuum. My body going limp. Gasps filled the channel. I died, I said flatly. Then I came back. I leaned forward. You have 2 choices.
Sit down.
Or float. One by one, weapons hit the floor. Soren moved fast, deploying security drones. Deck 7 secured. Good. Start arrests. I left the bridge. I walked straight to the holding cells. Kix stood as much as the restraints allowed. You always were dramatic. I stepped close to the barrier. You killed me. You would have done the same. I shook my head.
No.
I would have faced you. The ambassador stepped forward. You can't touch me. I have immunity. I vented the cell oxygen just enough to make her stagger. Immunity doesn't apply to treason, I said. And this ship answers to me. Kix slammed his fist against the field. You think you've won? I know I have, I said. I turned and left them there. Back on the bridge, Soren handed me a tablet. All conspirators detained. Engines stable. Ship secure. I took the tablet. Good work, Chief Engineer. He hesitated. Captain, permission to speak freely? Granted. I stayed on this ship because of you, he said. Not the command. Not the mission.
You.
I studied him for a beat. No games. No ambition. Just truth. Then stay, I said, as my first officer. His breath caught. Yes, Captain. I took my seat. The ship hummed steady beneath us. The mutiny was over. And I was still standing. I didn't rest. Not yet. The ship was secure, but Kix and the ambassador were alive, and that meant danger. Deck lockdowns still active? I barked to Soren. All sealed, Captain. No unauthorized movement, he said.
Good.
Let's move. I grabbed my sidearm and headed to the holding cells. Kix's eyes followed me, burning with anger. You really thought you could kill me twice? I said, leaning over the barrier. Still think you're untouchable, he spat. I smirked. I don't think. I know. I tapped the comm panel. All external doors remain locked. No one leaves until I say so. The ambassador coughed, weak from the oxygen vent. You can't do this, she hissed. You try to start a mutiny, I said. This is my ship now. I turned and left them restrained. No mercy. No hesitation. I walked the corridors, checking the crew stations. Panic ran through them like electricity. They weren't used to discipline, weren't used to a captain who survived death. Captain Hera, a junior officer, said, the mutiny suspects are broadcasting for help. They're calling for outside forces. I smirked. Patch me through. A crackling channel opened. The voice of an intermediary came through. Captain, we hear there's trouble on the SS Vengeance. I handled it, I said. All conspirators detained. No one leaves without my command.
Repeat.
No one leaves. Silence on the line. Then, understood, Captain. I ended the comms step 1 complete.
Control restored.
Soren joined me in the corridor. What's next? I didn't look at him. We purge any remaining loyalty to Kix. Anyone who knew but didn't act, they're isolated. We run diagnostics on all systems. Any breach, we catch it immediately.
Understood, he said.
I headed straight to the crew quarters. Every corridor sensor had been activated, every lock manually checked. Crew members froze when I appeared. I made them line up for identification, checking logs against each one's access. Captain Hera, someone shouted. Yes. I turned. Some of the lower decks are reporting system anomalies. They think there's a ghost sabotage. Good, I said, voice hard. We'll catch the ghost. Soren and I split. I ran diagnostics manually, overriding anything suspicious. He stayed at engineering, monitoring engine fluctuations. 20 minutes later, I had the anomalies traced and patched. False alarms, no real threat, but they knew I was watching. That fear was mine to keep. I returned to the bridge. Kix and the ambassador were still restrained. Their anger simmered, impotent. Captain Hera, Soren said, they'll try again if we relax. Then we don't relax, I said. We stay vigilant. Every breach, every whisper, we catch it. I initiated full surveillance. Drone patrols in all corridors. Security locks on all airlocks. Internal sensors constantly scanning. The ship hummed steady under my command. I leaned against the console.
Calm.
Controlled. Ruthless. Soren glanced at me. You survived.
Twice.
No one else could have. Maybe, I said. But it doesn't matter. I'm here. And anyone who tries, they die before they even see it coming. I checked the holding cells one last time. Kix's smirk had faded. The ambassador's pride had cracked. I nodded to Soren. Keep them contained. Don't let anyone forget this lesson. He nodded. Yes, Captain. I returned to the bridge chair. Hands on the controls. Eyes on the stars. The ship was mine. Every deck, every crew member, every system answered to me. And anyone who challenged me again wouldn't get a second chance. Not this time. I didn't wait for reports. I moved. Deck lockdowns remain. I barked to Soren as we walked the corridors. Check every sensor manually. I want proof, not logs. He nodded, hands flying over the console. Aye, Captain. We reached the crew quarters. I made them line up again, faces pale, nerves tight. No one moved without my permission.
Report, I said.
Anyone acting strangely? Anyone withholding information? A junior officer stammered. No, ma'am. Everyone's accounted for.
Good, I said.
Double check. I want anomalies gone before sunrise. Soren moved to my side. Captain, I've monitored the engine fluctuations. No signs of sabotage, but residual access codes from Kix remain. Patch them now. Seal everything he touched. Make it untouchable. He didn't hesitate. Fingers flew over the console. Systems responded instantly. I watched the screen, cold satisfaction spreading. Next, I checked the holding cells. Kix glared. Ambassador remained silent. I leaned close. You see, power isn't about threats, I said. It's about control. You'll learn it. Kix spat. You think you've won? I don't think, I said. I act. I moved to the bridge. Soren followed, quiet, precise. I initiated full drone patrols across all decks. Every corridor, every airlock, every hatch, I ordered. I want eyes everywhere. Understood. I watched him work.
Calm.
Calculated.
Loyal.
Not afraid. Not questioning. That's why I needed him. I tapped into the comms. Crew murmurs everywhere, fear tempered by my presence. Remember, I said over the network, obedience ensures survival. Disobedience ensures removal. No one challenged me.
Good.
I turned to Soren. We move next. Identify anyone who even thinks of rebellion. He nodded, scanning through crew profiles. I've flagged 3. Observation only, no contact yet. Good, I said. We handle them silently. No panic, just control. We split. I took the forward decks. He stayed with engineering, watching every sensor, every readout. Minutes later, I had the forward deck secured. Unauthorized codes erased. One crew member caught trying to bypass a locked hatch. I dragged him to a cell, left him restrained, silent. I returned to Soren. Status. All sectors secure. No anomalies, he reported. Flags under observation. Everyone compliant. Excellent, I said. Now, we consolidate loyalty. He looked at me. Captain, you want me to personally address them? Watch, wait, and intervene if needed. Quiet power is stronger than threats. Soren's gaze lingered on me. I noticed. Not challenge, not doubt.
Respect.
Loyalty.
Trust.
I reached over and tapped the security feed. This is the future. Any mistake, any hesitation, and you're gone. But if you stay, you serve me well. He nodded. I understand, Captain. Always have.
Good.
That's all I needed. I walked the bridge, checking every display, every sensor. Drone patrols moving smoothly. Crew in line. Kix and the ambassador contained. Systems under my control. Quiet alliance, I said aloud. Power solidified, loyalty earned. Soren placed a hand on the console beside mine. And the ship is ours, Captain. Yes, I said. But remember, loyalty is earned through action, not words. I sat back in the chair. Eyes forward. Hands steady. Every deck, every crew member, every system obeyed me. No one would challenge me again, not willingly. Not while I'm awake. The alert hit without warning. Captain, Soren said sharply. External signal breach. Encrypted. Source? I asked. Unknown. Masked. Coming through diplomatic bands. I moved to the console. Route it to me. Kill all auto-responses. The screen lit up. A voice came through, calm, male-controlled. Captain Hera, you're supposed to be dead. I didn't blink. Yet here I am. A pause. Then a low chuckle. Your ship missed a scheduled diplomatic check-in. That raised flags. I leaned forward. And you decided to investigate personally? Yes, he said. Because the ambassador stopped responding. And Lieutenant Kix's access codes triggered a dead man protocol. My jaw tightened. I glanced at Soren. How long? 5 minutes before forced boarding if they confirm a mutiny, he said. I cut the channel. Options.
We can jam them, Soren said.
Temporary. Or comply. No, I said. We control the narrative. I opened internal security. Bring Kix to the bridge.
Now.
Minutes later, Kix was dragged in, restrained, furious. You always loved theatrics, he sneered. I grabbed his jaw and forced him to face the screen. You activated a protocol.
He laughed.
Insurance. Deactivate it, I said. Or what? I slammed his head against the console.
Hard.
Or I space you in front of your allies. He coughed, blood at his lip. His smile cracked.
Code, I said.
He hesitated. I nodded to Soren. Soren vented the holding corridor, just enough. Kix gasped, panic finally breaking through. Fine, Kix shouted. I'll do it. He recited the code. Soren punched it in.
Protocol paused, Soren said.
But not erased. Good enough, I said. Send the signal back. The external channel reopened. This is Captain Hera, I said. The ambassador attempted to override ship command. She is detained pending tribunal. Silence. Then, Lieutenant Kix. Also detained, I said. For treason. Another pause. Longer. You're asking us to accept a lot on your word, the voice said. I tapped the console. Footage streamed live. Kix shoving me into the airlock, the ambassador issuing commands, the crew surrendering. I died once, I said. I learned from it. The voice exhaled slowly. You survived an internal execution attempt. Yes. That makes you dangerous.
Correct.
Silence again. Then, we're dispatching an inspection team. I cut in. Negative. This ship is under my authority. Any unauthorized boarding will be treated as hostile. You're overstepping. I'm alive, I said. That changes the hierarchy. I killed the channel. Soren looked at me. They won't back off. I know, I said. Prep the ship. I turned to the crew. Battle readiness. Shields to full. No weapons hot unless I say. Alarms sounded. The ship shifted into defensive alignment. External signatures appeared 3 vessels. They're testing us, Soren said. Let them, I replied. Targeting systems passive only. A warning shot flashed across our bow. The crew tensed. Hold, I said. Another shot. Closer. They want submission, Soren said. I smiled. They'll get silence. I rerouted power. Shield surged. The next shot dissipated harmlessly. Send them this, I said. A single pulse, non-lethal, precise, hit their lead vessel sensors. Temporary blindness. Their formation broke.
They're retreating, Soren said.
Good, I said. They'll regroup. And they'll remember. I turned back to Kix. This is what control looks like, I said. You never understood it. I ordered him dragged back to containment. The ship steadied. External threats fading but not gone. Soren stood beside me. They'll come again. I know, I said. Next time, we won't be reacting. I took my seat. This time, I added, we'll be ready. I didn't wait for them to come back. Set course, I ordered. Maximum burn. No broadcast. Soren's hands moved instantly. Engines responding.
Good.
Prep the tribunal, I said.
Now.
Kix and the ambassador were dragged onto the bridge, restrained, silent. The crew stood lined along the walls. No one spoke. I faced them. This ship recognizes one command. Mine. Kix laughed weakly. You think this ends here? I stepped closer. It ends how I decide. I turned to the crew. Lieutenant Kix attempted a mutiny. He executed me through an airlock. The ambassador enabled it. Murmurs rippled. I raised my hand. Silence snapped back. Evidence is logged.
Sent. Archived. I said.
Judgment is immediate. The ambassador straightened. You can't. Enough. I cut in. I looked at Soren. Read the verdict. Soren's voice was steady. Lieutenant Kix, guilty of treason, attempted execution of a commanding officer, conspiracy. Sentence, permanent removal from command rotation. Kix's eyes widened. You won't dare. I turned to him. You already dared. I nodded to security. They dragged him toward the airlock corridor.
He fought.
Hera, you don't have to. I followed, stood at the threshold, looked him in the eye. You chose this, I said. The door sealed. I didn't watch. I turned back to the ambassador. You're being transferred to Central Authority. Alive. She swallowed. Said nothing. Security took her away. I returned to the bridge. Logged the command change. I ordered. From this moment forward, all authority routes through me. Soren entered the override. Command rewritten, he said. The ship chimed, soft final. I exhaled once. Open internal comms, I said. The channel went live shipwide. This is Captain Hera, I said. There will be no more warnings. No more negotiations. Loyalty is not requested. It is required. Silence. Anyone who follows me will survive. Anyone who doesn't won't. I cut the channel. Soren stood beside me. They'll remember this day.
They already are, I said.
He hesitated. You could have delegated the final call. No, I said. Leadership doesn't hide. He nodded. Respect, solid and unshakable. External sensors flared. They're back, Soren said. Long-range scan. Holding distance. I smiled. They're watching. Orders? Transmit a single packet, I said. Command logs. Tribunal outcome. My status. He sent it. Seconds passed. They've acknowledged, Soren said. Standing down. I leaned back into the captain's chair. The ship moved smoothly under my control. No hesitation. No resistance. I looked at Soren. You stayed. I always planned to, he said. Then you'll stay beside me, I said. As my second. He didn't smile. He just nodded. Until the end. I stood. Walked to the viewport. Stars stretched ahead. Wide, silent, obedient. I died once, I said. That was enough. Behind me, the ship followed my command without question. Command wasn't given. It was taken and rewritten.